How's it going, everyone? I'm Max.
And I'm Matt.
And welcome to Sega Saturn Saturdays.
So for those of you who don't quite understand what Sega Saturn Saturdays are, maybe you missed our first few episodes, this is a look back at all the classic games that came out for the Sega Saturn. Kind of one of the most underappreciated systems. Now, understandably so, because it didn't quite see a lot of the biggest and best game releases on the system in America. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight both the import games and the games that did come out here. And we know we've been promising kind of a, Virtua Fighter for a while.
We've been talking about that for some time.
But we had a couple problems. First,
it seems like it's our destiny to never freaking do this game. Go ahead and start off.
Well, first of all, we started off with we lost a bunch of our Saturn equipment, so that kind of made us do an emergency run to a local video game store. Obviously not a GameStop style, but
a old gaming store.
An independent gaming store where Max had to pick up a brand new Sega Saturn.
Yeah, and on the way there, I actually was trying to get another copy of Virtua Fighter because our initial copy was like Virtua Fighter 1, and it wasn't in the greatest of conditions. Like, if you guys remember the Saturn, Virtua Fighter came with the console, and it's actually kind of hard to find a copy of the game. I'm ordering a few right now, but we had a glorious copy of Virtua Fighter 2, which I've had for ages and ages. And unfortunately, the back of this thing is not in the greatest of condition. I don't know if you guys can see how awful it is, but this thing did not boot. And this is kind of a topic of conversation, well, not really a big one, but the age of disc mediums for older systems.
Yeah.
How cartridges are kind of timeless in a way. Sure, we had the old Nintendo classic blowing method to get things working, but everything after that seemed to just work. Like 64, SNES, all that stuff just worked, and now we go into discs, and this is a huge problem. So
yeah, which is one of the things that was really turned off to the CD-based future of consoles.
Platforms.
First. Yeah, so I was really hesitant about it, and yeah, it's
destroyed.
It's
so unfortunately, we didn't get the chance to do Virtua Fighter this episode. So I was looking around this local store called Game Dude, and I'm like, we got to do something else. So I was able to procure a whole new, not a new, but a Sega Saturn. It's one of the later models, which actually lasts a little bit longer as well. And surprisingly, the thing was in great condition.
Yeah.
And really, really thankful for that. It was like $40, console, all the stuff that comes with it. But aside from that, I secured something that caught my eye initially, and immediately when I walked into this place, and I couldn't believe they had it. And lo and behold, a copy of Street Fighter Alpha 2 used for the Sega Saturn, and it was about $29, about $30, which is not too bad in my opinion. Opening this thing up, the disc was actually in pretty good condition, so yeah.
Yeah, so Street Fighter Alpha 2, obviously, the first game came out on Saturn and PlayStation 1, and then Alpha 2, for some reason, came out on the Super Nintendo, the PlayStation,
and it was ass.
Saturn, I believe, came out in the anthology collections, and yeah, the Super NES version was never meant to
arguably the worst, one of the worst, if not the worst ports of a fighting game ever. Yeah. I can't even describe it. Just go play the Super Nintendo version of Alpha 2 and you'll understand what we mean.
Now, for Alpha 2, a little bit of backstory. A lot of times when people ask me, what is your favorite Street Fighter game? What's your favorite Street Fighter? And I actually have to tell them, if we're going mainline Street Fighter, it would actually be Alpha 2. This is my favorite main series Street Fighter game. The only other game that I probably love as much as this in the Street Fighter is Capcom vs. SNK 2.
And I think one of the things we're going to check out when we're about to fire this game up for a second, thank God this came into my possession and I had to get it, so we can do an episode about Alpha 2. And I kind of want to spread out the fighting games, because there's so many fighting games on the Saturn, and so many that's remained ridiculously traditional, great arcade ports of the games in the series. So we're going to go ahead and fire up Alpha 2, see how good it plays in a day and age like the one we're at now, where we're seeing HD remakes all over the place, and see how good it performs in comparison to what we remember from the arcade. So we got a couple of controllers ready to do this?
Yep.
Okay, let's go. So here we go. Oh my god. The versus menu of Saturn fighting games is gigantic text on freaking, looks like we're playing some crazy flash game right now.
Looks like you're hitting the dip switch in our
Yeah, we just got the dip switch. Keeps our win-loss record live, man. We're good. I'm gonna pick my completely original character. So what I'm kind of curious is like the load times of this thing, because the other notorious version of Alpha 2 was the Super NES version.
Right.
There's no other real like version of Alpha 2 that isn't notorious besides the Saturn one, and the Super NES version is arguably one of the worst fighting games ever made. Like, it's terrible. Like,
Clearly you have not played Jaguar fighting games.
hey man, I'm just saying, in a comparison of like how things are and how they were in the past, it is pretty bad.
Oh. Ah!
Sure you can.
Oh shit.
Oh god, bitch crazy. Oh my god. Rolls don't do anything. Bitch. You such a bitch. Yeah, fighting
One thing
games.
that really impresses me about this one is how fluid the animation still is.
Street Fighter, man, of
Like,
course.
it's very vibrant, like just like on Sakura's like
Oh,
look
Sakura.
at that. Like, her skirt is like really flowy and stuff, and it just seems like there's more keyframes in this than any of the other versions of the game released.
Besides Third Strike. I don't think you played Third Strike.
No, I mean like for the time.
Oh man, yeah, I agree.
I mean, Third Strike's amazing in that respect, of course, but it's also like only a Dreamcast game as well.
Oh, good god.
Ooh, wait. Ah! Oh, jeez. Corner cheese. Get
Bitch.
out of my corner.
Yeah!
No, you sucked me in. You.
The vacuum effect. I think my buttons are super messed up. Hold on a second. Let me try something. I was like continually hitting one button. I think that my triggers are super sensitive. I kept getting kicks. I don't know if there's any way.
Using the shoulder buttons?
I'm trying not to, is what I'm saying. I'm saying I'm getting shoulder buttons.
Oh. It's all about how you hold it.
Those cross-ups definitely don't work like they did in Street Fighter 4. Oh my god. Hitting that shoulder button again.
Oh, right in the face.
Oh my god, you bitch.
Oh, fuck. How did that not connect?
Oh my god.
Ah! Oh. No!
Yes!
Turd!
Yes, video games. All right. But no, like you were saying, actually, the visual fidelity of this game still holds up even to today. Like, non-widescreen glory, it still looks great. The Saturn version of this game, I think, was arguably one of the best console versions you possibly could have.
Like, the colors are still really vibrant. Like I said, the animation's really good, especially for stuff that's like extravagant, like, you know, him twirling his stick around or Sakura's like dress.
It's not it. It's definitely not it.
Oh. Ah!
What the hell?
Right in your face. Oh, you just got me in the corner. I'm just done. It's over.
It's Rolento, man. He's
It's
that
neat.
good.
In the background, you see Cody, you see Hugo,
3 Street Fighter 4 characters, man.
Hagar back there, like choking some guy to death. Oh, this is like it's a final fight stage, of course. So there's a lot of cameos. Poison's back there. So just a lot of good little cameos. So one thing that was really neat about the Alpha series was it had a lot of cool details on like the backgrounds of their stages and stuff. Like it was a very lively game series. It wasn't like realistic like 2 was, and it wasn't Wasn't quite as more serious tone like the 3 series. It's definitely more of a arcade look. I don't want to say arcade, but comic look almost.
I'm trying so hard to get a Shoryuken motion and I just can't. Oh, I took supers. I miss arcade sticks.
I really like the sort of like very animated style that the Alpha series had. At least on systems that were 2D powerhouses. Because that was the nice thing about the Alpha series was how basically they were taking, we were on like the 3rd or 4th, depending on how you look at it, generation of 2D consoles. And they were like, well, we have a ton of power now. We can make almost anything with sprites. So they just like went nuts with it rather than try to make like, blocky fighters. Although they did with, of course, with Street Fighter EX, but yeah. I don't remember any of my combos occur in this game. She had some awesome ones.
Hey!
Alpha combo!
Yay! Hey, groove!
Boom! Do you think Soul Calibur started the whole hit you after the match? No, Rolento did.
Yeah, it was all Rolento. This game actually holds up surprisingly well. Like, it's kind of like shockingly well how, especially the Saturn version is like obviously the most compatible with like arcade ports and stuff like that. Like the Saturn versions were kind of the epitome of how these games should be played at home. And it even still holds up to today. Like if we had 2, competent arcade sticks, we'd be going pretty strong right now.
You know what though? The nice thing about the Saturn was it had probably the best controller for fighting games.
Yeah.
So much so that it's still in large demand for the PC. Like they still sell out of printings of the Saturn USB gamepad because it just works so well for pretty much almost any 2D style game.
Oh god, that doesn't knock down. That's an anti-air either. You're gonna have a big problem here.
Ah!
Oh, I got him!
Fuck you!
Fuck you! Why is this stage so great?
This is Sodom's stage. Who I didn't know until recently was actually just an otaku.
Yeah, you didn't know that?
Ah, I didn't. I thought that was incredibly lame when I found out. He's a big, dumb, like, fat American Japanophile who, yeah, just drives this big, gaudy truck around the American desert. I thought he was like a wandering samurai or something, No, otaku. Ah, fuck you. Oh, turd burp.
Damn it! Now, Charlie. Well,
Nipple tickle.
The nipple tickle from Sagat. Oh, I miss this game so much.
Ah. How come this doesn't have an Evo champion, like, fighting championship?
It did, man.
Still.
Back in the day. I remember seeing like an exhibition match between John Choi and Justin Wong, like at Evo 2K7. It was awesome.
At Alpha 2, huh?
Yeah, at Alpha 2. Granted, they played like a bunch of other games.
Shit.
God, I'm trying to do a freaking flash kick on this controller. It's so difficult.
Even with the Saturn controller, you're still having difficulty.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, it's not like a perfect solution to an arcade stick, but I'm having no real problem. Like, not major problems, just...
That's not an anti-air, that's insane.
Why'd you duck? You didn't have to duck,
No!
No!
There's no invincibility in these games. You still got hit by stuff. The tale of two swords.
Stupid little knee to the head.
So Alpha 2 on the Sega Saturn, I mean, as you guys can tell from our impressions, is an extremely faithful rendition of a game from 1996. It actually held up really well. The controls were great. The Saturn controller was one of the best ones you can use in this game.
The Saturn pad was almost made for
Fighters.
4 and 6 button fighters, and it was perfect for it. I think it's really impressive to look back at the game, and in the Saturn version in particular, and this is why we're highlighting the Sega Saturn version, is it had some of the most fluid and straight, conversion from the arcade to console. Other versions of the game always kind of had like a few keyframes of animation missing, or corners were cut, or effects weren't as great. But remember, the Saturn was a 2D powerhouse first and foremost, was a 3D like graphics chip kind of shoved in last minute.
It kicked ass with Capcom 2D.
So
games.
when you go back and you want to play like a pure version of Street Fighter Alpha 2, you would fire up the Saturn version for one, because it runs the smoothest, it looks the best, and most importantly, the default controller is almost made for the game. It has 3 punches and 3 kicks, A, B, C, X, Y, Z. So, on other versions of the game like Super NES and PlayStation, you would have to deal with the 4 buttons and then the shoulder buttons.
The shoulders, like all the face buttons similar to an arcade stick is kind of what you wanted with a fighting game controller, which is how they're made today. So yeah, Street Fighter held up really well. Kind of surprised, and I'm kind of anxious to look into some other games like Marvel Superheroes and X-Men Children of the Atom, which are very different but similar because they were old school Capcom 2D games.
So the most important thing about it holding up is the fact that it looks like something that could pass for animation almost. So that was what's great about it, is because it's still almost top of the line as far as 2D goes.
That's the thing when it comes to the 2D graphics powerhouse of the Saturn is with the games that are 2D and are sprite-based, sprites always hold up to the test of time. I don't think ever in gaming as we know it, sprites are going to go away. There's always going to be
and they've kind of turned into this sort of like retro cool thing where it's like people love to buy shirts and
sprite work, artwork. People convert characters from like modern games into sprite work characters. So
and you can find Alpha 2 Gold on the Street Fighter Anthology Collection for PlayStation 2. So. You might want to just go for that. That's probably the easiest and quickest way to get your Alpha 2 fix.
Yeah. But check back next week as we're hopefully going to dive into the world of 3D fighting and Virtua Fighter 1, 2, and Virtua Fighter Kids. Until then, my name is Max.
I'm Matt.
And thanks for watching Sega Saturn Saturdays. からをけナンパにクラブ